Good morning.
Good morning.
Am I echoing?
You're good.
I have little doilies around, but that's okay. I also have questions, and we can get started.
Oh,
yeah?
Sure. Yes, for sure.
Okay. Always good questions, always wonderful answers. Welcome to all the women coming in and maybe men. Here we go. All right. Number one, Dr. Rosensweet. Could you please explain? We've visited this a lot, but women are really wanting to know. Could you please explain why it is that you are not a fan of injections? I do know that you've often spoken of this, but I continue to ask as I missed what was said the last time you spoke about injections, and they are something that I'm taking. Thank you.
The ovaries in a young woman, they produce hormones in almost a steady stream. Yes, they vary throughout the month, but they don't come in at one burst during the day. They come in throughout the day. Sometimes they're emphasized in the morning, but they continue to get excreted. So it's smooth, and you don't get these huge peaks and troughs and peaks and troughs. When you inject something, oh man, it's really strong, goes right into the bloodstream, and you get a major peak right there.
Yes.
And then it tapers off rather quickly. And that's not physiologic, that's not copying nature. And you know, daily hormones for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, we want to copy nature. This map has been invented.
Right.
It matters so much that for the last 25 years, instead of giving topical biased or topical hormones, but let's say topical biased, and when you apply something to the skin, it doesn't go peak. It doesn't go in. It goes in slowly and gradually. So the serum doesn't see these high levels, these peaks. But even with that being known, our instruction is for 25 years, apply the bias twice daily rather than once daily. And you know, if it was easy and practical, I'd probably do it 3 times daily. But it's not necessary. 2 times daily with bias is just great. Well, what's an injection? I mean, I've heard of patients doing injections once a week. What happens there? Super high levels, gradual decrease, enough to carry a week. Or I have transitioned patients from injections, or at least attempted to, by breaking down their dose that they were doing once a week, so woman injecting testosterone, into daily increments, just to more copy nature and not put her through those peaks. And there's technical issues with producing those peaks. I mean, for one thing, that might be capable of raising the sex hormone binding globulin. We don't want to see that happen. And then who on God Goddess's green earth wants to be injecting a needle and piercing the flesh with cold steel, as I refer to it, daily, when that's not even the best way to do it by far. The best way to do it is daily topical application to the skin or mucous membranes. For all those reasons, I do not have any of my patients injecting, and those who come to me injecting, we wean them off, or I'm not going to participate in 10, 20, 30 years of prescribing a hormone getting injected once a day or twice a week or every day. So there we go.
Well, that is a good answer. And
you know, if it was the only thing available on the planet, I'd say do it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because getting the hormones is so much better than not getting them at all.
Absolutely, without a doubt. So the this not good, not copying nature. And I know you're a copying nature kind of guy for sure. Thank you very much for that answer. And I'll move on to number two. Oh, this woman. I have now seen so many doctors, she says. My mother is a breast and ovarian cancer survivor, and doctors are very reluctant to treat me. I get the lowest doses possible of hormones. I tested negative for the BRCA gene. I really don't want to start with yet again another doctor who will again say the same thing to me. And I just want to feel well and protect my body. What do you think I should do?
That's a great question. I'd like to take some time with this one.
Okay.
Yeah. Not like I don't take time with the other ones, but I'd like to, because the general topic is risk. And we're all at risk for 1,000 health injurious diagnoses. And there's causes for all that. And their lifetime in the developing. And we're all, as a male, we're all at risk for cancer. And as a male, I'm at special risk for prostate cancer. And there's reasons for that. And all women are at special risk for breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and uterine uterine cancer. And there's reasons for that. Now, in general, contrary to what you may already believe, not you, Carolyn, but I mean, and probably not many in our audience, but contrary to what's put out there, women who are treated with hormones, and I'm talking about even Premarin and Prempro, are at less risk for developing breast cancer, heart attack, and stroke than women who are not being treated with hormones.
Huge statement.
And women who have the BRCA mutation and are at increased risk over the general population of women of getting breast cancer and ovarian cancer are at less risk for getting those cancers if they're treated with hormones. But you're still at risk. And you're probably at increased risk in general. And we all are. And there are so many moving parts to why someone gets ill and gets cancer. And like I've mentioned on our Facebook Live before, the way I like to look at it is I tell my patients, let's pretend that behind me on the wall is a video of your whole life. Someone videoed you from the moment you were conceived till right now. And the videographer had a special tool when they went to edit it. They were able to press a button and delete all the good stuff, all the fun, all the love, all the good food, all the good air, all the good exercise. They were just able to delete all that. What would be left behind would be the issues of nutrition, toxicity, inappropriate exercise, and the elephant in the room, the biology of the stress response.
Ooh-wee.
Which is immune suppressive. Run from the saber-toothed tiger. Where do you get the energy? From every organ in your body that's not involved with the run or the flee or flight, including your immune system, which takes a tremendous amount of energy. People who are stressed get immune compromised. You get the whole thing there. And that's 4 major causes. And if we played that video and it contained every event that I just mentioned, indiscretions of nutrition, exposure to toxicities, oh my God, which are rampant, and also in inappropriate exercise and stress. It's not the stress that does it to us; it's an inappropriate biological response to it. When you acquire emotional skills and consciousness skills, the stress will continue to serve you. Only you won't have to get bent out of shape to deal with it. And There's a fifth category of causes of illness, and I come to believe that this is the most important one of all. It's mysterious. You cannot explain to me, of the hundreds and hundreds of stories I've heard over 50 years of being a doctor, of an infant that got ill and died, or someone in the prime of their life developed cancer, 3 kids. It's not easily explainable, and so I don't begin to have my arms wrapped around all of life and its complexities and all of our existence and our eternal existence. Oh man, big territory, even though I've devoted the last 50 years of my life to that those very subjects. And I also really respect a medical doctor, Ravici was his name, in the 70s. He said about genetics, he said, you've got to realize that we're genetically programmed for health. That's what prevails. And the genes are just a point along a spectrum that on one end is energy and consciousness, and on the other end is physicality of the densest nature, our bodies, for example. And it's a broad spectrum, and the genes are in here somewhere. They're at the transmission point of energy, consciousness, communication to physicality. They're a physicality point. That's where the information expresses itself. And as so many of my colleagues for so many decades, in fact, throughout medical history, have suggested, it matters how we talk to these genes. We got to be nice to them, kind to them, a metaphorical way of saying it. So I'm not going to, any patient I've ever interviewed and heard their whole life story who has a significant illness, there's a lot of points there. There's a lot of points that really matter. And you could run a long, long list of, and you get to understand it. And it's no mystery in ways. And then there are the mysterious ones. So I'm saying the questioner is really asking a much deeper question. Is she personally at risk? Well, yeah, she's got specific risk factors, but they're living within a cauldron that has a lot of other risk factors in there, known and unknown, dealable with and mysterious. Yesterday, I was talking to a woman in the perimenopause. She's in her late 30s. I've known her for a long time, and she's just become a patient of ours for perimenopause. And she had endometriosis all of her life, all of her adult life, severe enough to require massive surgery. And then she was just getting, the surgery definitely gave her the final relief, only for her to start getting cardiac arrhythmias that wound up not being controllable by medication. And cardiologists have gotten some very technical ways to deal with it. They have to go into the heart and ablate, that means get rid of, these abnormal electrical focuses that are triggering inappropriate heartbeats and irregular rhythms. It's called ablation. And she'd already had 2 ablations. One of them lasted 6 hours, so the level of expertise was really high.
6 hours, yeah.
And so there's a pioneer in the world of medicine that to me makes a lot of sense, and I have her book. I've carried it with me for 40 years. Her name is Louise Hay, and she had a theory that if a specific part of your body is hurting, it has metaphorical significance. Yeah, and half the people who pass from Earth, male and females, leave Earth because of heart issues. Wow, that's rocket surgery to try and figure that out. Heart issues. I'd like to acknowledge you, Carolyn Shapiro, because you have a mega heart going here. I've always appreciated the amount of love that you bring to this world.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And a lot of folks don't necessarily, the heart is a major issue. And when I zeroed in on questioning this patient about, I said to her, look, you're still getting arrhythmias. Hormones can be part of the trigger to those arrhythmias. Absolutely. But you're getting your hormones balanced and the arrhythmias aren't getting regulated. Is there any way that you're dramatically stressing yourself? Oh, yeah. Bam, bam, bam. Continuing to make choices that are very stressful, and wouldn't you know, to her heart. She's married to, she has an excellent marriage, really trusts, cares about, and open to her husband. But like so many people do, we turn away and take for granted the most important relationship that exists in our whole life. And she's turning towards the world. I'm going to go help the world. Well, bravo, you get to exercise your talents. But it's very stressful. The job she got involved in was extremely stressful. Stressful, adrenaline, fight or flight, adrenaline. Adrenaline is the world's best arrhythmia producer. There's no better. I can inject 10 people with adrenaline right now. I think they're lining up outside the door. Oh my God, there they are.
Well, they're outside my door.
And 2 of them would probably get an arrhythmia from me just injecting adrenaline.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to say that there's so much that goes into illness, and now I want to get down to the BRCA issue. I know women who've had double mastectomies, and they've had to come to peace with that. And I'm not saying that's an easy decision at all. But when you stop to consider it, love really matters, intimacy really matters, making out really matters, and to some women, vaginal penetration really matters. Oh God, I find it to be one of the greatest things that gifts I've ever been given in my whole life. And you do not need a 20-year-old body or even breasts. I know it's challenging. I'm not trying to be cavalier about this, but you don't need them to have more intimacy than anyone on the planet Earth. It's all about love and connection. The 100% intimacy thing and sexuality, especially if you're in menopause and you're on hormones, it's all available. 100%.
It's a lot of help there.
But, a lot of people, as we age, we can think that someone's not beautiful, or we can feel we're not beautiful. And it's a real practice for every aging person to realize that intimacy, sexuality, physical connections, caring, love, snuggling, sleeping together, snuggling, they're totally independent of body parts, pretty much. And there could be a woman who has no breasts, no ovaries, no uterus, and she could have a sexual pleasure that she couldn't even contain the amount of powerful energy that could happen if you really get good at intimacy and love. And so many people get derailed as their body form, as they age, as their skin starts sagging, our organs start sagging, weight starts appearing in places we wish it wasn't there. We don't look 20 anymore. And mastectomy. You could get totally bent out of shape by this, as so many people do, because we've been so addicted to form and looking like some 20-year-old movie star. But I can tell you, I'm 79, and I'm not the same biological that I was at 20, 30, 40. No way. And nor is the dear women that have been in my life. No way. In fact, the younger women, as great as they are, not for me. 70-year-olds. That's the only thing that works for me. And because it's a whole different world, the depth of intimacy and love and physical and sexual pleasure is coming from something that's related to the heart. To put it metaphorically, for me, my molecules are 100% connected to that. and there's no limit. And it's a much better experience now than I did as a teenager. And I want to tell you, I hit the decks as a teenager having a lot of fun.
Ditto on that. So may I ask?
If you could just hold it for a little further.
Sure.
In every single woman, like our questioner, and for every single patient, for every issue, but for the woman who's asking this question, it always comes down to the same thing. It's a risk balance. It's a risk. And sometimes the hormonal deficiency can be taking away so much of your life, including your immune system, that you that the BRCA slips into oblivion because you're losing everything because you're afraid to take hormones. Now, one thing that's available to us that wasn't available when I first started out is just fantastic monitoring techniques. These are very personal decisions, and I know they're very hard, and I can imagine the duress that the questioner is really having. But there's fantastic monitoring techniques. So were the decision made that, you know what, I'm losing my life here because I'm afraid of something that may not even happen.
Right.
And I'm at less risk for if I take Premarin or Prempro, which I've never prescribed my whole life.
Right.
And the great news is doctors who really care about this, there's experts. There's breast surgeons who are absolutely expert. There's radiologists who are absolutely expert at monitoring the breasts. And it's why in the menopause method, we're 100% advocates of properly spaced mammograms. Oh yeah, we won't work with someone who won't do that. And because you can pick up stuff. So if there was a choice to be treated, you could also make the choice to find the breast expert, and it's, any town in the United States is doing very, very sophisticated breast imaging techniques. I mean, very, very sophisticated. So when I listen to the tone of the questioner, I always want to give you my best shot. And I know you'd be going out on skinny branches and take risks. And I know there's hundreds of physicians that you got BRCA, don't go near it. No, BRCA doesn't guarantee you're going to get breast cancer. Or if it just feels like too much, double mastectomy has been chosen by many women, including a very famous movie star. You can look her up. She just didn't want to live with that risk. And so I'd say here's what I know about you, questioner, that what's the truth for you is knowable. And when you keep doing exactly what you're doing, you're asking the tough questions, you're letting yourself feel the emotions, and get a team. I got a team. My God, I've got wing people that I do my life with, that I'm so fortunate to run everything by that's of importance. And I'm part of other people's teams, my dear friends and family, absolutely. So take it to your team and keep asking the question and get the answer, because what's right for you does exist. And you discover what is right for you, and you do it. That's what commitment is. And if commitment says, I'm going to just carefully monitor my breasts and I'm going on these hormones, I'm going to find an expert to do it. Or I don't want to be with that risk, but I'm going on these hormones because I'm losing everything else anyway. I'm going to get the double mastectomy. Whatever that choice is, you don't keep putting this off forever, and you just do it. And nothing's written in stone. If you go down I'm going to do the hormones and just carefully monitor my breasts, and you're into it 3 months and you go, I'm still too troubled by the risk, I can't escape it, I'm going to do the double mastectomy. You can do it then. So nothing's written in stone. And here's my final thing I'd like to say to you. Your heart, your soul, your body knows what that answer is if you have the courage and the rigor and the ability to accept what's right for you. It's not a week off. It's not 3 months off. It's not a year off. It's now. That's present in your consciousness right now. And then you just go after it. Go after knowing it. And the other thing is let's say worst case scenario, not the very worst case scenario, but let's say worst case scenario, you choose mastectomy. Here I am saying to you something, and you may believe it or not, that when it comes down to it, the greatest pleasures in our physical body, from my perspective, and for many others, I've come to learn I'm not the only one who believes this, is loving somebody. Love, feeling love in your heart, feeling love for them. Well, we all got some work to do to get better and better and better at that. There's many impediments to that, and the breasts are not one of them. The heart, the soul, the emotions, the mind, the consciousness. There's a lot to grow there. And if you grow that, you can achieve, with no breasts, more intimacy, more love, more sexual pleasure, more physical pleasure than you ever have in your whole life. If you take that project on, you can do that. And so you will not, your intimacy is not going to be dependent on whether you have breasts or not. And for someone who loves you and also is aware that the intimacy is unlimited, you can do it. So I know a lot of theory in there. I know it's quite challenging, but hey, pretty interesting though, wouldn't you say? And go find the truth for yourself and do it.
You speak to my heart. For sure. Yeah. And
I'll say one final thing. Many people, we come to Earth with shame. That's one of the things that as human beings, we're here on Earth to heal, one of many things. Shame is the feeling that there's something wrong with us. And if we don't take the shame on head on and acquire information, tools, and support to heal the shame that we're born with and we're carrying all of our life, it's going to manifest and manifest and manifest. And there are some people who have mastectomies that could be the very thing. Finally, they've proved to themselves that the shame that they've carried all their life is real.
Yeah.
And they use that and they tumble off a cliff edge and they only look into the abyss of hopelessness. But what it was is, if you heal shame, this is not an issue. You know you can have more love and more caring than you've ever had in your life with no breasts. But you can also use it as an opportunity to work out in an inappropriate way the shame you never dealt with fully enough.
Right. And
it's complex. There's a lot to it, but the information, tools, and support are available as never before on the planet Earth. There are so many people who can support you. There's so much information and tools online, and certainly humans who can support you in dealing what could be triggered in you. It's not trivial what can be triggered. I've spent decades of my life working on some of these things that I came to Earth with and really gave me trouble and gave people that I was close to trouble. And thank God I've been so devoted to it.
We have a wonderful video of you that's up on the Ins and Outs of Menopause page that I might put back up there. It's very, very dear, and it gets into all of that. And I think I'm going to do that with your permission. Something that you say so often that makes so much sense. I've done it. We all have to do it. And that is, with that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful answer you just gave that really hit me in my heart, is to, do the doctor shopping. Do the doctor shopping. You don't have to say all of that to your doctor for your 7-minute visit or whatever it is that Dr. Rosensweet just said, but you'll carry it in your heart. And you will get with that doctor, and that doctor will understand you, and you will trust that doctor, and you will go on that journey together. Am I correct or am I incorrect?
Or should you say, am I correct or am I correct? Am
well,
I right?
Can I be?
Am I right or am I right?
I mean, that really hit me. And it's hard to do the doctor shopping, but I swear to you, it's doable. If I can do it, anybody could do it. I won't get into my story because It's not about me.
And sometimes it's beyond doctors. Sometimes the emotional support to help you, number one, arrive at the truth. Because that's what I challenged this questioner. I say the truth exists right now about what the right next step is for you. But you can put it off because shame could keep you from doing it. You just wouldn't want to face the shame of having no breast, for example. Oh, the issue is not the breast. The issue is the shame.
Yeah.
We all have. Every human being on earth is dealing small, medium, large, or humongous with the shame that we've never healed. And this is our opportunity. So I'm not going to go deeper into it right now. But yes, it's doctor shopping because there's great doctors that can monitor your breasts with you. And there's great doctors who can treat you with hormones. And that's the easy part. And if there's great surgeons who really know how to do this. That's the mechanical part. The emotional part is probably where the challenges are, because I think it must be just unbelievable for you to believe that breasts or no breasts, you could have sexual, physical, loving, caring ecstasy more than you've ever had in your whole life. If you develop that part of life and you learn how to care for, communicate with, trust, be trustworthy with someone you love, oh yeah, there's no limits there. No limits. Your heart, I mean, sometimes, well, I don't think I want to say more right now, but there's no limits there. So some of the shopping that you might need to do is for the very skilled professionals and non-professionals who really have ventured into the emotions and the mind and the life and the choosing and love, the whole subject of love and the whole subject of intimacy and caring and communicating within a relationship so the relationship, the love keeps blossoming. These are the biggest, most important things there are. And that's why I use the example of my patient earlier. The heart matters. She's having arrhythmias of the heart.
That Louise Hay book is a good one. Along with
Heal Your Life. Pardon?
Along with Happy, Healthy Hormones and Estrogen Matters, boy, Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life is right up there. First book I ever read, I was like, wow. And I still have it too.
Carolyn, thank you for, it's where I trust you so deeply. You have a heart and you have emotions and you're connected up there. And it really is a safe place, this forum that we have to be with you and for you to be vulnerable and authentic like that. It's
yeah, you have me in tears, and as the interviewer, I'm not sure that happens too often.
Just know, it doesn't get better than being an authentic human being with a heart and with emotions and with vulnerability. So I just wanted to pause and thank you for that. And thank you for that. This is where we as a human race, to revive our ability to feel and to feel the truth of what's going on in us. And that's the first step to unconditional love of self.
Yes, absolutely.
And acceptance. And here you are right here in living Technicolor with the whole world watching you. I think
with tears coming down my eyes going,
I think the whole world is watching you.
Well, you got to be famous somewhere, right? We have so many good statement. I'm all at a loss of words right now from that answer. And I acknowledge all of you, and I will definitely write to you and get back to you, and not medically answer your questions, but I'll get back to you. I do promise you that, because I hear you guys loud and clear. Doctor shopping, definitely important. Yes, you may have to go out and do some more doctor shopping. I did it, but it worked for me. And so the question that comes in, again, you just answered, but the woman is 44 and she was BRCA positive. So you just answered that question really. So I'm gonna move on to my third question, um, which has to do with something we also talk about a lot, and that is progesterone. And it's the good morning. I'm new here on the group, and I'm asking my first question. I'm 51. I have low progesterone, and via a certain 5-point urine test, I found that I am very low in progesterone. I am having hot flashes, poor sleep, irritability, on and on and on. But I've been given progesterone and I cannot tolerate it. I cannot, and I don't know what to do. It makes me feel horrible, and I'm stuck.
I mean, I'm not chuckling. I just chuckling at how many times we've heard this question, and I love to answer the common ones. You can ask us the same question as many times as you want, because
It's
this
the
is
most
very common.
beautiful thing. Yes.
I know to the questioner, it's so personal and individual, and you think, "Oh my God, I'm losing it right and left." But it's I chuckle because I've heard this question for this particular scenario in one form or another for 25 years. And it's because what's happened is your ovaries have stopped producing these fantastic, phenomenal, powerful ovarian hormones. And it ain't just progesterone. Oh, no. You have those hot flashes, your estrogen. I would be surprised if you were still menstruating. You didn't mention it, but it doesn't matter. You as a woman, your peak output of your ovarian hormones was when you were 20, plus or minus a couple of years. Very similar for men. And then for men and women, the hormones just start declining. And then there's this precipitous decline as the ovaries stop. And this has been going on for the 200,000 years that the human race has been evolving on this planet. And the huge difference is, for God, what, 199,000 of these years or more, there was no menopause, because the women, for the most part, were not living that long.
Right, there were no us.
There was no us. And the men were leaving Earth prior to the women. The men weren't living as long as the women. And then through miracles of hygiene and nutrition and evolution and growth, as Marianne Williamson says, join the evolution. I don't know where that came from, but
we the people.
All of a sudden, women are living a lot longer, but one can make the real fantastic case that there should come a time when you no longer have babies, you become a grandparent. Very essential people in the chain of life. I'm one. I'm a grandfather. A blessing. And at any rate, here's what we do know, theory or not. Anthropological commentary from a non-anthropologist or not. Women's ovaries are turning off, and they turn off precipitously, and you stop menstruating, but you've been losing your hormones all the way up to that particular date. And so here's your challenge, and Carolyn mentioned it earlier. It is imperative, or a great idea, for you to go shopping and to start interviewing healthcare providers that have licenses that are capable of prescribing hormones, because you need an MD or a DO or a RPH or a nurse practitioner or a PA license to be able to prescribe this stuff. And you want to find someone who's specialized in treating women in menopause with hormones. And you need to see them post haste. And it ain't just your progesterone that's giving you trouble. Oh no, you're probably into estrogen desert right now and testosterone. And you want to replenish all of these, and you want to individualize it for your body. And then there's this progesterone mystery. Why it's been because there are women who absolutely do not tolerate progesterone. Now, like anything else, there's always reasons, and these women are rare. And I wouldn't give up on progesterone. I would get in the professional care of someone who really understood hormones and knew how to go on a progesterone discovery process that obviously with your sensitivity, we're not going to lead with progesterone. Those hot flashes are almost 100% of the time originating from low estrogen. So you handle the estrogen, the testosterone, the DHEA, and maybe thyroid. And then somewhere along the line, you take on the progesterone, and people who really are experiencing this, they know how to do this. And very rarely, even for a woman who's saying, I cannot tolerate progesterone, when it's done properly, when the introduction of progesterone is done properly and gradually and really low, and even if there's an allergy to progesterone, which there can be, or the carrier that the progesterone is being delivered in, which there can be, but you take on the whole of menopause. You just don't take on progesterone. My God. And no matter what you've read out there, it's wrong. Just somebody say that. You need all of these hormones. And that 5-point test is not something I personally trust at all. Although I'm sure there's people who would love to debate me on that one.
Oh.
But at any rate, this is not rocket surgery. Once again, you're 51, your hormones are super low, and your job, the real answer to your question, is go out there and find an expert in treating women in menopause with compounded bioidentical hormones. That's your job. Once you find that person that you trust, that you feel good with, they're going to sort it out. Because every woman is individual, and we meet up with these issues all the time in the menopause method. It's our daily bread. And it's no big deal, and it's sort of entertaining and fun to figure out the special recipe of the balance of 4 ovarian hormones. So there's 4 of them, and usually your thyroid's playing in there as well. To get those really balanced, sometimes it's a piece of work, and sometimes there's interfering factors, but it doesn't matter. It's just a journey, and there's, healing is possible. But your job, I'm repeating it again, is to go out and find someone who knows what they're doing. Now, ultimately, are there some women that are especially sensitive and cannot take progesterone? I'm baffled by it, but yes, rarely that is true. And so what? There's so many things we're not getting. I can't tell you how many things I'm probably not getting this day that I probably need. Some of them are being important. I can only shovel so fast. And so what, you got thousands and thousands of biochemicals in your body. And if you're not tolerating progesterone, you accept that and you do the best you can to balance everything else. Why it's baffling to me is that young women who menstruate have 100 times more progesterone each month than they have estrogen. So that we know, and women who are pregnant, oh my God, their progesterone levels are astronomically high. But you are not alone. It might be true that you are unable to take progesterone. Yeah, there's a lot of things I'm not taking that I should be taking. So it's okay. You can do a tremendous amount of good with the other stuff that you need.
Yeah. Me speechless. Rare, but I am. Thank you. Women are having a tough time with progesterone.
Some are, most don't. Most don't. And progesterone is an absolute saving grace for so many women. It changes their life. Helps them sleep and helps them not have anxiety, because it's the great calmer. I am aware, I'm not trying to contradict you there, Carolyn. Yes, there are women who have challenges with progesterone and many other things. There are men who have tremendous challenges with many, many things.
But is it okay low and slow?
Well, that's one approach. But again, we already have a lot of information that she's got challenges. So what I'd do is I'd take that one on later. I wouldn't take it on right away. And maybe you're terrified that you're not going to have the estrogen progesterone balance, right? Don't worry about it. I know that's quite a cavalier statement to make, for as much as I love progesterone. Oh yeah. But you work with what is, and you can have a phenomenal human life with the sky of limit available to you, love and happiness and joy and laughter and intimacy and fun. And you can do it even if you have zero progesterone. And I know women who are achieving that and they have zero progesterone because they don't tolerate it.
Got it.
Dear friend of mine, dear friend of mine has the very same issue. And she's doing just amazing.
That's nice to hear.
And God, I don't even want to assess the particular deficiencies I might have.
But do you think that vitamin L, meaning vitamin love, vitamin K, being kindness?
Yes, but you don't want to get stuck on something that somehow you're not tolerating progesterone. Well, that's not the end of the world for you, and especially in the world of hormones. When estrogen is so crucial, testosterone is so crucial. These are really important to take. And then you figure out progesterone. And that balance, yes, of course we want that balance. But we can live without it. You can do just fine without it. As evidenced in one of my dearest friends that I've ever had in this whole lifetime. She's doing fabulous and cannot tolerate progesterone. We've tried every which way to get her to tolerate progesterone. And yet, fabulous life in a fabulous human being. So that could happen to you too. No progesterone person.
No progesterone person. I like that. And again, yet another nice, beautiful answer from our dear Dr. Rosensweet. Next question comes in. I know that too much estrogen symptoms can mimic too low of estrogen symptoms. When one has very dry and fine skin like I do, and it's sagging, I've lost the roundness of my breasts. Can this be attributed to too much estrogen?
Well, the questioner is named, I thought I heard, the usual cause of what she's describing is too little estrogen.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Those are hallmark signs of not enough estrogen. The skin loses its hydration. And you go from having that amazing youthful skin to skin that is really different. And breast fullness is very much a function of estrogen. Every cycle, so many women are capable of feeling the fullness that starts building over the course of a menstrual cycle because of estrogen. That's why it's doing it. And restoration of estrogen can bring back quite a bit to the skin, to the breasts, and most important, and this is where it's really important, to the brain, and to the arteries, and to the vagina. Bring back that estrogen. It's a big deal. Now, the question was, can too much estrogen? Well, ain't no woman in menopause has got too much estrogen. No way. Or in the perimenopause. No woman's got too much. Now, if you're being treated, yes, you can be treated with too much. And paradoxically, there's this thing called the pharmacological window, which means if you're deficient in something, there's a range of replenishment that will work. And if you don't get high enough, if you're too low, you're not going to get the symptom alleviation and the body health replenishing. Go too low. You got to get right up into the therapeutic window. If you go too high, it don't work either. You got to be right there in the window, the right amount. And there are women who are being overtreated, and they can get symptoms of estrogen deficiency if they've got too much estrogen. Well, a really good, knowledgeable professional is going to be able to identify that for you. But the questioner hasn't given us any clue of what she's taken and how much she's taken. But my guess is, from what she said, is she got way, way, way too little. I bet you. So that's where I would start. Unless I'm missing something, yes, you can get symptoms because the hormones don't work if you get too much. So it's almost like you didn't have enough because they don't work. They flood the receptor sites. You don't get the on-off phenomena. You don't get the thing that the hormones do. You got to get in the therapeutic window. Not too little and not too much. That's why that thing that you posted, that's really a photograph of our menopause method, symptoms of too little and too much. That's why it confuses some people. That's one of the reasons. And these hormones are so interrelated. Yeah. Didn't you have a question one time, Carolyn, that you showed me that someone was saying, God, it's so confusing. I mean, that you can have the same deficiency symptoms for estrogen and progesterone. There's so much overlap there. Yeah, there's overlap, but it is not hard to sort these things out at all. It's our daily bread.
Yes, and you're passionate. You are passionate, beyond passionate for sure. I am too, but I'm not a doctor. And may God bless, I'm going to bring this to our last question, and we'll close it out.
All right.
With this one. Boy, this was me too, I'll tell you. Is there only one dose of bias that we take? And what happens if that particular dose of bias doesn't work? Then what?
I'm blown away by the excellence of these questions.
Oh, I know. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're just all so relevant. And
women want to know.
Is there one dose of anything? Oh, no.
Would that be no?
This is why compounded bioidentical hormones are absolutely critical, because one of the reasons we're so successful in the menopause method is we realize that women vary. How much you need, what your internal balance is, how sensitive you are to anything we give you, how well you absorb anything we give you, and on and on and on. And so we don't have any rules. You can't say, I remember I was shadowing, that's the one way we learn in medicine. I was shadowing a very, very famous holistic physician, Alan Gaby. Wonderful, wonderful human being, contributed so much to this world. And it was many, many decades ago. And I asked him, could I come to his office and just follow him around and just watch what he does and learn from him? He said, sure. Wow. I spent a week with him. It was just so wonderful. And so we're going in, opening the door and going into the consultation room with this one woman, patient. And he's asking her a lot of questions. And I could see he was zeroing in on thyroid issues. And then he gave her some things to do, including a prescription. And then we walked out and we discussed the cases when we walked out of the room. And he says, this woman's hypothyroid, and you haven't got a clue what to write on your prescription pad. But it's no worries. We're going to have her find her right dose. And he went to medical school. I went to medical school. I never heard having a patient find their right dose. He says, we're going to write a prescription for the low end of things and have her gradually increase. And if we're correct, her symptoms of hypothyroidism are going to get alleviated. And if she continues to increase her dose and she goes too high, she's going to get symptoms of excessive thyroid hormone. And we'll just back her down. It's called titration. It's well known in the world of biology and chemistry and medicine. And I was blown away. I just thought, duh. And he said, and these hormones are so powerful that people are going to know when their symptoms get better. It's not going to be like you're taking a B vitamin and you can really tell a dramatic difference. It's pretty rare. I'm taking a multiple, and oh my God, I have life-changing difference. No, not that they're not very important. They are. But you take hormones, these things are screamers. They are so potent that most people who take them, if you have too little, you're going to be really not like it. And if you have too much, you're going to not like what you're feeling there. So this is called dose determination by symptom alleviation and titration. And so, God, help me get back to where the question began. Oh, yes. Is there one dose? No, because women are, like, for example, I've done research on my patients. And I know the average amount of bias that a woman needs. It's equivalent to 1.7 milligrams of estradiol equivalent. Uh-oh, read the book.
MGEQ.
But 1.7 milligrams of estradiol equivalent. But there's a range, anywhere from 0.8 to 2.6. That's a wide range because, if you haven't noticed, women are individuals and they have all kinds of variables, and so do men. If you haven't noticed, there's tremendous variation, man to man, woman to woman. No big deal. You just individualize the treatment. And there's 4 ovarian hormones, so you got different balances going on. You have a tall, thin woman with small breasts. She's got a way, way different estrogen and progesterone and testosterone balance than a short woman who's got very curvy and has large breasts. There's a way, way different ovarian hormone balance. So no big deal. You just individuate every woman. That's how you do it. And it's not hard to do that once you get the principle. So is there one biased dose? No. There's an infinite amount. We even have very fancy calculators because we can administer anywhere from 15 milligrams to milliliter of biased. This is common ranges to 60 milligrams per milliliter. And you happen to mention biased because there's common starting ratios, 80% estriol, 20% estradiol, but that is not necessarily where you wind up. You could have 70-30, you could wind up with 60-40. You should only make a change from 80-20 if you're looking at a 24-hour urine hormone test. You should not be changing from 80-20 because that's going to be the sweet spot for most women to copy nature and to be very protective because of the estriol content. That's a whole other subject. But sometimes we're looking at that 24-hour urine and we go, look at this, we got to make an alteration in that percentage. We're going to go for 70-30 or 60-40. I even got a patient that I'm doing 20-80. Now, if you do the math, what you wind up with, there's not one biased dose. There's an infinite number of biased doses, which is why compounding bioidentical hormones is absolutely critical. And it's no big deal for compounders. They're doing, this is their bread and butter. They love to do this. They love to look at a fancy prescription and make it work because they've got these analytical scales and they weigh things out and they love customizing. That's why they went into the thing, because they realize that you've got to customize this stuff. And I would like to put a plug in for this. Women, your bioidentical hormones are under enormous threat. We could lose them any month. End of story. And please go to, and maybe Carolyn, you'd post again.
I'll post it again.
Yeah, there's 3 websites that we would like to invite you to. One of them is called wethewomen.us. Another is called cbhrtcoalition.org. And the third is compounding.com.
Oh,
Women of America, we got to mobilize. I'm the head of a coalition. There's 80 professionals, compounding pharmacists are putting millions of dollars into trying to protect you from losing access to compounding bioidentical hormones entirely. And we all know that it's going to be American women are going to rise up and really say how egregious taking away their right to choose their method in their physician or their prescriber, their nurse practitioner.
It's huge. We've been working on this a long time. The last time we talked about this, I got all riled up, and so did those cows. So we're not going to go there today, but I will post. Absolutely.
Yes, and go to those websites because there's action you can take. We think that the key to the highway is women mobilizing and communicating with their representatives.
Absolutely. On the hunt.
So
here we are.
Yeah, one dose of bias. No, there's infinite, but that's where the fun is. That's why after 25 years of doing this, I'm more entertained today treating women in menopause than when I began.
And that's a beautiful thing. And we love it. Absolutely. Dr. Rosensweet, thank you so much for a really lovely interview. You made me cry, but oh well. It's okay. You usually make me laugh. I suppose it's okay to cry every once in a while online in front of a zillion people. Maybe. And we got to all of our questions.
That's fantastic.
It is
So
fantastic.
also the other thing I'd like to say is I'm being interviewed by Dr. Lindsay Berkson next Thursday at 1:00 Eastern
Oh,
Standard
yeah.
Time. That's always a hoot. Why? Because she's so knowledgeable and so much fun. So we get to get into technical issues that are also very entertaining to me.
It's going to be a great interview. I've got a lot of responses on that one. It's there. It's on the Ins and Outs of Menopause page. You bet. And I think you're going to have a really nice audience for that one for sure. And I will be in that audience.
I know you will.
Oh, yes, sir.
All right. So I'm going to sign off, and thanks for attending, everybody. And until Tuesday.
Until Tuesday.
And thank you, Carolyn. Thank you once again for being you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you very much for that acknowledgement. I appreciate it. Thank you to all the women that came up. Blessed weekend. Wonderful, safe, fun, lots of love, lots of laughter. And we will see you on Tuesday. And I'll get with everybody who wrote.